challenge enormous. The rewards.
Welcome back. We're starting on the other side this time. Let's see if we can see a little bit of stuff we haven't seen in this area yet. But I don't think there's a ton of it. But this is really just one last little joyride in the game. So we can have something more of a proper finish to the game than what last episode was. Not necessarily without pain, because this is Alaska after all, but no big glitches that I'm aware of here. It is wholly possible there are a few bugs in this game I'm actually not aware of that maybe got found. Jeez! Maybe got found later on or something. By later on, I mean like within just the past couple of years. That was actually not supposed to be an Uber. I missed the Y button for the... There we go, experimental. Come on, man! Well, we can do a flip, but you gotta be learning a bit better than that. I don't think I ever managed to fully stay on this route. Boom! So there are... I did get reminded as I played this that there are some things that bug me out this game that I wish kind of got worked on a bit more. A big one being the seemingly inconsistent jump heights this game has. Getting up there is a little tough. It's a nice place to be, though. How do you get that rail on the right? I guess one way is just to do this. If I had boost, this would probably be a pretty fast way of doing things. The bigger problem is that jump there. And look how many little things there are to do and explore here. And how over the top the characters are, of course. How much I love all of that. I enjoy tons of things about this game. I actually consider it a very good game beyond just it being the first time I've played. It's something I have fond memories of. But I did get to remember some things I liked less about the game while I was here, in spite of still loving it, and wishing I could play more of it. Big example being that for some reason jump height just is really inconsistent, it feels like. Okay, here's a big jump, here's a smaller jump. And it doesn't seem to really correspond with how long you hold the jump button either before jumping. You would think that holding it longer would help, but not really. Like, making that jump there is really hard. Sometimes I manage to pop up onto one of these platforms too. There are lots of seams, little bits of geometry that characters will constantly trip over, which also annoys me a lot. Some of the levels can feel a little bit, especially Alaska, but it's actually not the one I usually have the most in mind. Dude! Some levels can feel a little malevolent sometimes too, with regards to having so much stuff to bump into everywhere. Some of the animations with Ubers are a little questionable in their length. Why did I lose all of my boost there? Jeez. And characters that ride Goofy Foot being disadvantaged by the fact that coming off a rail always puts you in regular stance is also a bit annoying. It's an actual strict downside to being certain characters. Oh, I'm just trying to do that trick again. Might as well get infinite boost here while we can. And the trick book, as always. Also some other subtleties. Oh, you know what? I think that's for the fact that he's... So Frog Hop for Moby is actually with different inputs than for, say, Luther. I think the reason is that they have different stances. So I think they're gradually mirrored, is what it is. And may I? I'd really like to show going through there. Not quite. See if I take the high road here. And the rails, you tend to, one, not stay on them when you try to go on them. I don't think there's much to show on either side here. So I'm just going to go on the front like I usually do. There we go, you gotta go a bit to the left if you wanna. Great. Yeah, I go a bit to the left. You want to make that jump, I feel like.
Come on, Moby! Pull it together!
I think you can accidentally hit the ceiling here, too. Ooh. But yeah, the rails, especially on alpine boards, you tend to just come off of them for some reason whenever you try to go on one from the ground. And there are cases where you land on a rail, but sometimes the rails have collisions, sometimes they don't, which is very inconsistent. But when they do, there's a tendency to try to land on a rail and you just hit it instead of actually grinding it. There are some rough edges in this game for all the stuff that I do love. I think it still looks nice visually, even in spite of being a relatively realistic game as compared to something like Lynx or whatever. Let's see if I can figure out the right time for this jump. I think it's after you hear these. I think it's after you hear that you can. That's a little early. So that's actually the best time to jump if you want to get a good time here. That's actually the fastest thing to do, what I just did now. Boom. So there are things I wish could be worked on a little bit, but I love most of it regardless. I love its look, I love its feel. I love the variety in characters, I love the variety in gameplay. They call you what, Moby? I do kind of want to go somewhere and not. Whoops, I don't want to be Moby. And be a little bit less terrible. I kind of want to be good as Brody somewhere since we have some time left while I keep talking about stuff. Oh, are there credits to see somewhere in this game? I should do that. Are they in the options? Oh, I can look here actually. Yeah, I should look at that in a minute.
Configure controller. Take control.
Oh! Darn! They do have the pro layout on this one. Darn it! What's modifier? Oh. How does that work? Rewind spins. I'm looking at the stick on the left. Plus modifier lead spins. I wasn't aware that there... I didn't realize that was how that worked at all. That black being a modifier, so to speak. I can show you the combat cam then. Darn, I wished I had that. Also, game options, you can have a little bit of other stuff. Huh. I forgot you could do that. Change the number of change the number of people in those. Yeah, we'll look at the credits in a minute.
Select mode.
You know, our choice to choose and to reject prevents our
But I will also... Yeah, maybe not your ability since we've already been there a couple times.
Select event.
Let's go to Snow Dream. It's a short one too. But darn, I wish I, for some reason, didn't think this game had combat cam in the Xbox version. I like it, so you'll see it in a second. It's nothing too special.
Previously, Snow Dream was...
I do like the rest of the SSX series to some degree. I never played Blur, that's the only one I've never seen, and I do want to try it at some point. This is combat cam. Good for combat, as you can see. Some more specifically, what it means is it just lets you see where there are people behind you and whatnot a little bit better, which is, in my opinion, very useful. Alright, let's try it. There we go, rotate. I love the variety in gameplay between the different characters. I like the different characters. I like the aesthetic. I like the gameplay. With some minor issues like that. Rails are a bit of a sore point. I forgot this guy does not do tricks as quickly as everyone else. It's a shame that this game did not get to, whoa, be did not get to be playable on the 360 normally because of... Thanks for staying on that rail, Brody! The reasons that you've seen in this playthrough. Just trying to not do a 180. I get a certain kind of satisfaction from using these Alpine boards since they are a good deal more difficult. And so, like, in a case like that, I like to see if someone's just behind me. Go away. They do have Cordova, which I should use liberally, since it's such a brief Uber. Sometimes you can do stuff like this, sometimes not. It's like, can I jump onto this thing? See, look how different my jump height is each time. There you go. Although I would also like to, whatever, could have grinded on the sides of here. There we go. A bit better. Ah! Darn, there's so many little cases where you can do things like hanging a rail on the side there. There are lots of little hidden rails in this game. And hidden routes. It is just so easy to miss. Darn it, dude! Darn it. Looks like that'll be enough to actually finish, but... This one, for instance. And then sometimes run into issues... Why wasn't that a rail? Run into issues like falling off of it, though, if you try to take it too fast. Goodbye. It's fun, but it has its awkwardness. Some of which got dealt with in later games, but at the expense of other things. I didn't enjoy the other games in the series as much. You can see my issues with the combo system in SSX 3 in that game, when I play SSX 3 on this channel. I did a Let's Play of that some time ago, and it even made me reconsider whether I should do blind Let's Plays on this channel, which I've done almost exclusively since then, ironically. But the only game I've never played in the series is actually Blur. I thought people thought it was terrible, but apparently not as bad as I thought. But I should maybe take a look at it at some point. It's on the Wii. Apparently a lot of people didn't like the motion controls, and I could understand that. But we'll have to see. It's got a pretty different aesthetic to the rest of the series, too. I did 100% on tour on, I think, at least 2 systems. But... and it is worth looking into. It's got a very unique look to it. Like SSX3, it's got more of a rock soundtrack. I should start playing the credits, actually. But still a good one. One that I enjoy a lot.
Brought to you by...
But... one, and actually, I don't mind that it introduced skis into the series, because I actually predominantly use skis in that game. But it continued the whole combo system that SSX3 had that I didn't like. And if the main reason I won't Let's Play it is it's kind of grindy. It's kind of doing the same things over and over and over with slightly different details for a very long time. I think there's a point at the end of the game where you really are just playing the exact same events over and over until a couple particular events, important events, become available. I think just to increase your ranking or something like that. So I don't think it's very worthwhile. It doesn't have much personality in the characters either, because you're playing as a custom character without any personality, unfortunately. It's got some Unlockable characters that are kind of cool. I mean, it's got some characters from the original cast, but they're, like in SSX3, much less personable, you might say. They're nowhere near as colorful as they are in this game. But the main thing is you hardly see them, because you're playing as someone else the entire time, and you only occasionally encounter them in head-to-head stuff. And I don't know if they even have dialogue, really, if they do. They might, but it's not like it matters, since you never see them. But there are some silly unlockable characters, too. I don't know if they're unlockable or not, but on the GameCube version, you can play as Mario, Peach, and Luigi, I think. In other versions, there are some other characters you can unlock. I don't know if I ever actually unlocked the SSX Squatch. I don't think I ever truly 100%ed the game. But you can unlock some characters from the game's opening theme, actually. Which look really out of place, but it's still kind of cool. There are things I like about it, and the fact that you're on one big mountain that you can go down, kind of like in SSX3, but I kind of like the mountain more in On Tour than SSX3 actually. But oh well. Also, I'd have to deal with content ID issues like I did in SSX3, where certain songs playing would just get the whole video muted, which is a big pain. So I don't think that'd be worthwhile. In fact, that might be a problem if I try to play Blur. Oh no. I might have to think about that. I'd like to try it though. I'd like to try Blur and kind of share that experience with you guys. And maybe I will or won't like it, considering I think it might have been the last game in the series before SSX 2012, which was a reboot that nobody really liked. They kind of tried to win everybody back after a while by introducing DLC that they called back to this game. This is generally the most popular game in the series, I think for good reason. I wish we could have a game though that was like a final mix of this game. Even if not with new content, just like a couple little like tweaks and fixes, like making some of the smoothing out some of the grinding mechanics in particular, and things of that nature. But keeping a lot of what's there, because I think there's a lot that's there, and I'm sad that I couldn't stick with any one of the characters long enough to really get to see all their dialogue or interactions with other characters in this playthrough, but at the same time we got a nice sampling of everyone at the same time, so I think it was a blessing in disguise that this game would not run quite properly on the 360. But I think it's a real shame that the 360 was denied the joy that is this game. And so many little details, I brought it up before, but like, see, the part of the menu music that's playing right now, you don't hear this anywhere else. Maybe in the loading screens? Look, they deliberately dynamically mix the audio to play different parts in different places. In the menu, in the courses, everything. I love it. Aside from loving this game's soundtrack in general. And I would not have minded the rest of the series keeping this kind of soundtrack, but the hard rock worked fine too, I think. So no complaints. But I'm reminded as I say this of something called Sonic Riders Tournament Edition. Basically a mod of the original Sonic Riders that introduced some balancing and stuff like that just to make it more fair for competitive play. And they did a lot of cool stuff. In fact, they got a really cool trailer they made for it, even with an animation that someone on the team made themselves that I enjoyed a lot. But I was thinking, man, if we could get something like that, and I think they had a lot of textures redone and whatnot too, which I've seen somebody do in this game. I saw somebody, you can find it somewhere on YouTube, somebody actually replaced lots of the textures in this game with more higher resolution ones, especially the menu, or not menu, especially the HUD, which is a cool thing to see. I love seeing new life breathed into old games like this. Dirk! And also Dirk. Thanks, Dirk. And little details too that never show up anywhere else in this game, like characters speaking their respective languages and whatnot. And the number of characters. I liked all of them again. There's nobody I disliked, even though most of the characters in this game never appeared again. It is perhaps aged a little bit by the reliance upon a Run DMC song, but I think they managed to make it work. As silly as that is. I don't know. I wish I could spend more time with this game. I wish I could find any excuse to do more with this game. Whatever it would be. And a lot of people got a lot out of this game for a very long time. Again, speedruns, well, not necessarily just speedruns, but going for like records in scores and in times on different tracks in this game, and the original SSX too. And that stuff was going on for 10-15 years after this game was released. It was crazy. Also, these credits are really so. These might be one of those credits sequences too that unfortunately loop. I don't know if they do. But we'll have to see if that's the case or not. If I could come up with anything to do here, I don't know what it would be though. There's not really any kind of real, Roselle. There's not, they actually do call them movie samples. Those are the random voices that you hear when you're going off the track. Little weird details like that. That's so strange. The movie samples you hear in this game, and sometimes you get really big air too, but I love it. That is a lot of recording studios. Wow. a lot of people were involved in this, a bit more than I realized. If you look at the making of videos that are under the DVD content section, they actually give you an impression there are fewer people working on this than there were. Maybe fewer people working in the actual game studio. But Kathleen Barr, I'm certain I've heard that name before. Have I heard that name somewhere before? I'm not sure. Oh. Oh. He said Europe. Huh, did they actually have a different English announcer in say, the UK? Nope. I didn't realize, though, that they localized the... I've seen the PAL release of this game in English, but I've never seen it in other languages. I didn't realize they actually had different... They actually dubbed the game. That's cool. Nice the menus and whatnot. Huh. The making of SSX Tricky. Yeah, that's one of the videos you can watch. I realize I'm kind of sitting here now, but I always like to go through credits. These are a little bit slow. But I wish there was something I could do to almost like try to polish the game in weird ways or something. My controller's dead, by the way. Oh well. I'm surprised it managed to last this long. There's that weird thing about controllers that lets you just keep using them even though their battery's basically dead for hours. But I don't know. I actually had a similar sentiment towards Jet Set Radio Future for a while, although my efforts never became public. I did actually do a lot of stuff that I should probably show off at some point, modding the game, and I actually I wrote an entirely new script for the game, if you could believe it. Maybe I should show that off at some point. I basically reimagined the game's entire story, which was really cool to do. I enjoyed doing it. And I was kind of proud of it. But in this game, I don't know if that's really a thing you can do. Different games are much more or less moddable than others, and also there are lots of tools you can use to mod JSRF, and by that I mean there's the one called JSRF tool. More recent versions of which that are still publicly available do not actually have all the capabilities of the older versions, unfortunately. But I digress. I would love to see, I don't know, something done with this game. I like game modding and stuff like that, and it's fun digging into games. There's not much to do, though, if I remember. I haven't looked at this game's files in a long time, but when I did, however many years ago, all I could really make out was there was an actual text file explaining how the different dynamic audio mixes worked, how it would play different parts of each song, different parts of the track, performed by Mixmaster Mike and Roselle. Yep, theme song from SSX. Phoenix Symphony. This game got me into Hybrid, and I love a lot of their music, especially their I Choose Noise album. Sonic Redot. Oh, no, don't do that. 360. That's not an Xbox thing. That's a 360 thing. There we go. Feels like the credits are moving more and more slowly as time goes on. But yeah, I don't expect anything's gonna come from it. Somehow I managed to get years out of the Blinks games, although there was more... I eventually did start modding that game. It took a long time for mods to actually start happening, although I never got as far as I wished I could have. But I even started figuring out how certain parts of the game worked by extracting it and playing with it, and then actually replacing those things. But this is one of those games where all the files are packed into like archives with proprietary formats, so you'd have to reverse engineer those before you could do anything else with the game, unfortunately. So unfortunately, it's probably not very realistic to try to think of modding this game in any meaningful way without serious dedication, which is not a thing that most people can do. I don't recognize most of these song names anymore. What are these? I don't know. I actually don't. Oh, some of these might be tracks that play at the beginning of a course, for instance, during the opening or something like that. That might be it. Original music now. Jeez, guys. Why are the credits so slow? I had not realized that Adam's Revenge was original. As you can see, lots of music in this game was not original. I didn't realize that some actually was original. I was not aware that there were any original tracks in this game, except for what you're hearing right now. What's it called? I forget the name of this one sometimes for some reason. This one is actually made for the game, I'm pretty certain, because you hear somebody say SSX in it at some point. I don't know if you ever hear it in the game, but it's in the song. Base Invaders, there we go. Actually might be one of my favorite tracks in the entire game. It's just a nice, long song to listen to. Really laid back. Did they actually write unique openings to every area? To every track? That's really cool if so, actually. No, not all of them. Mesa Blanca didn't show up on there, for instance. Never mind. It's just not in order. I liked Mesa Blanca intro, though. I don't know if you can actually find these songs on their own. Vocals. I don't know if you can find these songs on their own and on YouTube or anything, actually. Never thought about that. Slightly less interesting names for these other places. Garibaldi theme. Alaska theme. Are there multiple openings for the Tokyo Megaplex, or did I just miss that there was another one earlier? Or did I mistakenly think there was another one earlier? Themes for all the other characters. Jeez. I would fast forward through this if I was on an emulator. That's another reason that it's really nice having emulators. Because I can sometimes fast forward through things like this. As some get into the whole purity thing, which I can understand, but I tend to prefer strongly emulating games these days for... Actually, almost in general, but especially for Let's Plays, because it just gives me nice things like save states and this. Hey, Moby has a theme name. I love that. Song from EA Sports FIFA 97. You couldn't give it a more detailed name than that? Okay. I'm kind of curious just how long this is going to go on now. Music special thanks. Abel. Mixmaster Mike, naturally. I mean, Mixmaster Mike was a pretty big guy for this game, evidently, considering he's a secret character. That's a lot of special thanks. Wow. Everyone's special. Not music special thanks. You're special, just not musical. IRC. Yeah, it's... this might only be like the second time I've actually looked at the credits in this game. Now I'm kind of curious how long it is. I think I fast-forwarded this when I was... I think I watched them in my previous playthrough of this game on the GameCube, or that is on Dolphin. But now I'm not sure. I probably fast-forwarded through it, though, if so. I don't know if I've seen that many special thanks on something before, though. That was a lot. The special thanks is almost as long as the rest of the credits. Everyone! Oh, that's all of them. No, no! Beautiful game indeed, though. Yeah, more licenses and whatnot. I might have to cut off at some point, because this recording is long. It's a chaos production. It might actually be the end. I think the credits do loop, if I remember right. Not that it much matters, since we can tell this is the end, I think. I feel like we needed to thank you for actually looking at this ridiculously long credits sequence. Not that there haven't been longer ones, but... This is a totally optional one, too. This isn't like the half-hour credits at the end of GTA 5 or anything. Anyways, that's that.
Welcome to SSX Tricky. This is going to be fun.
Alright, so I have no idea what I'll play next. We'll see. But yeah, I have a feeling that I'm gonna have these feelings stick around with me for a while. Wishing I could come up with some excuse to play this again. There are lots of games like that where I wish I could come up with any excuse to play them again, or do anything with them, engage with them in some way. I managed to do that with Blinks for a pretty long time, even if not usually through videos, but I did eventually make that 100% guide on the original Blinks as well, and a couple fun playthroughs of Blinks too. And I actually still have another idea for it too, actually, but I never actually went through with it. And yet, SSX Tricky? I don't know. I don't know what else there is to do with this game, for me. I don't know, like, what you would do for, like, a silly challenge playthrough, or anything else. The modability of the game doesn't really seem to be there as much as I'd love to, I don't know, do something with it. Make something of it. Oh no. You know what? Let's watch it one last time. And we'll actually end the video with that. In fact, I'll just be quiet. I think you've heard enough from me at this point. Thanks.